It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brouhaha. Dale McKee sitting over here looking at me, Marshall Wood. Gonna talk a little sports. Got a good guest tonight we'll talk about a little bit. Man, ain't it fun to be a football fan, Dale?
Oh, yeah. It's just fantastic. It's fantastic. Got, I think 3 interesting games. Well, really 5 interesting games for us here in the state that I think we'll have a lot of meeting to all of us this weekend. Of course, Southern Miss is on a roll, and they're going to host Texas State, and they need just to keep winning. Yeah. And hopefully they can go 3-0 in the last 3 ball games that they have.
Troy's going to be in that lineup somewhere, aren't they?
Troy's the last game.
That'd be a tough one, probably.
I think they go to South Alabama the week after, and that's always a pretty good rivalry there. Yeah. But they've done an excellent job. And then we got Ole Miss needs to beat Florida to keep their rankings, and then State needs that 6th win at Missouri this weekend. Wow. And then 2 games outside of our state that are really interested is Alabama, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
One of them's going to be put out of the playoffs. And maybe, well, I don't know. Alabama may have 2 losses, may get Bama in. But
2 losses would probably get Ole Miss in, wouldn't it?
I doubt it. I doubt it, and I'll tell you why, but that in a minute. The other thing is that Georgia and Texas are playing. And that'll be a really interesting game also. So
if Georgia's got 2 losses, they're going to be not in the playoffs? You don't think a 2-loss team would get in?
I think from what I'm reading, okay, I think the Big Ten has about 2 teams. Okay, well, if they don't get any more teams in there than the 2, then the SEC could have possibly 5 SEC teams. I just think when it comes down to it, and I guess I've seen it over the years, Georgia and say Ole Miss with 2 losses, who would you pick?
I'd pick Georgia.
Okay. If you got Alabama and Ole Miss with 2 losses, who do you pick?
They'll pick Alabama.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So, right now we think we got Alabama. I mean, we got A&M for sure. So, I don't know after that. So it's just I think things going to pretty well shake out these last couple of weeks, and there would probably be no arguments in the end. But the SEC could get 5 or 6 teams in if the Big Ten only has 2, and then you got to have one of those. I think I don't know who would be the team from what they call the
Power 4.
Power 4, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who that's going to be because Memphis had an inside track on it until Tulane destroyed them. Yeah. So I don't know if it'd be Tulane with 2 losses or who it could be there. And then the Big 12 is going to have some probably a representative in Texas Tech who's really doing well.
Yeah.
And of course, and BYU might slip in there too because they've had a really good year. But when you pick into really, it says the 12, but one team is automatically done from the Power 4. So when you look at the rankings, you should be looking only the top 11 instead of the top 12.
Yeah. Because
the 12th team may be left out because of the Power 4. And that's kind of the way it is right now. But they're trying to give the little guy a chance. And who knows, Southern might slip in there and be number 12. Don't know. Let's don't give up hope just yet.
You talking about getting the little guy the chance?
Yeah.
Is that Ole Miss, the little guy?
Well, I think they're probably in the middle.
Yeah.
They're not one of the, I just think because of past history, it's hard. But now Kiffin brings another dimension to this whole thing. You know? So, that's going to be good. And I think the further Ole Miss goes, the more chance Kiffin's going to stay. I mean, would you want to leave a playoff team?
I don't know. I guess money drives everything, huh?
Well, really does it?
I don't know why he would leave. I mean, his kids are playing up there. Of course, he could leave him there.
I don't think he's going to leave. That's just my opinion. I think.
Why won't he say it?
What?
Why won't he say it? Did you just want to hear somebody throw some big numbers at him just to say, okay, maybe I'll come back to Ole Miss and this is what they'll give me? How about y'all?
You know, I don't know. I think he's talked to the team though, but I'm just telling you what I hear.
Yeah.
But I think he's talked to the team and explained.
He probably learned that lesson along the way.
Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah.
But we might ask Mr. Kirk McNair from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Well, I tell you what, you just brought it up. Tonight's guest. Mm-hmm. That's Kirk. Kirk who?
McNair.
McNair. Mm-hmm. Okay, and what does he do?
He is right now. He is running the. He's a historian for the Paul Museum.
Bear Bryant deal.
Nice. Museum on the campus, but I think he also writes for Bama 247.
Okay. Well, I tell you what. Let's do. Let's take a break here for some more sponsors, and when we come back, we'll have tonight's guest with us. What's that name again?
Kirk McNair.
Kirk McNair. Right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Kurt. We just introduced you to in our last segment, and we just want to make sure that that people know that right now you're what is your title up there in Tuscaloosa?
I'm the research and historic writer for the Powell W. Bryant Museum.
Well, what does
on campus?
Well, okay, I know it's historical, so it must be the past. So, just tell us some interesting things that you do from day to day.
Well, as I say, I'm still a sports writer, but I've delved into a lot of things from the past that may be applied today too. You know, things that are happening today that happened in the past with stories of former players, and obviously there's some emphasis on Coach Bryant. Since this is the Powell Bryant Museum, and you know, I go to press conferences, and I'm still keeping up with the team today, and with college football in general today. I write a lot about that, things that are going on around the conference and around the country. So I've had pretty much free reign to write what I want, and I'll try to, you know, keep it fresh and still maintain touch with the past.
Well, now, when did you start covering the University of Alabama football?
Well, the first game I covered was in 1967, but that was, no, it's actually 1966, I'm sorry, but that was just a one-off deal. And then I went, because I was still in school, and then I went to the Birmingham Post-Herald, where I was eventually assistant sports editor and covering either Alabama or Auburn every other week. We switched it up back then, and that was in 68 that I was doing that. And then in 70, I went to Alabama as assistant sports information director, got up to sports information director, and then started Bama Magazine in 1979 and kept it up through 2005, and then since then have been working for websites, my own to begin with, and then others since then, up until this past year when I left 24/7 Sports, which I was working for CBS covering them, and took a job with Powell Bryant Museum. Powell Bryant Jr. has been a friend of mine forever, and he's very persuasive, and he wanted me, I'm old enough to be retired by two people, but he talked me into taking over this job, and tell you the truth, I'm loving it. So hopefully I can do this for a while.
Well, I imagine you had a great relationship with Coach Bryant. You got any interesting stories for us about Coach Bryant?
Every day. It's interesting. I couldn't wait to get up and go to work when I worked for him. He was the best, and best to work with, and everybody who worked there felt the same way. That he was the hardest working guy, so it wasn't hard to make yourself work hard. And I tried to get to work not too long after 6 o'clock. I knew he'd go to breakfast first and then come to the office, and I didn't ever want him to come in and I wasn't there. So as far as I know, that never happened. So, but he was a wonderful person to work with. Great influence on my life, no question about that. And stories, when people ask me about stories, they tend to pour out and would run out of time. So, but he was great.
Well, my only experience with him one time, he came down to Laurel, Mississippi to a famous wild game cookout, and Coach Johnny Vaught was there too, and this was like maybe 10, 15 years after the great 69 game, 33-32,
Right.
Anyway, so that Vaught was talking about what an offensive game it was and this and that, and Bryant said, "Johnny, that was the worst game I'd ever been to in my life that night." Said I was a defensive-minded coach, and I just couldn't understand why them boys run up and down the field on us. So, Coach, that was my only experience with him. But a good friend of mine, Terry Rowell, introduced me to him that night. Terry played for Alabama during that 68.
Oh, I know Terry. I know Terry.
Yeah.
160-pound nose tackle.
Yeah.
Ferocious.
Yeah, he was a great athlete in high school, watching him play and things like that. He was basically a fullback in high school and a linebacker. So, but back in those days, Coach Bryant went out and got quarterbacks and fullbacks and made them ball players. So
That's right.
he'd take a quarterback, make him an offensive tackle. So anyway, he wanted those best athletes. So anyway, so in your museum, I know you have a lot about Coach Bryant. But what about the past coaches that Alabama, like a Ray Perkins and even Nick and Gene Stallings? Is there things in there about them too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It covers all of Alabama football history. In fact, they just finished putting up a fabulous exhibit, a walkthrough history of national championships, going back, not all the way back to the very beginning, but back, this is the 100th anniversary of Alabama's first Rose Bowl win this year. So it starts with that and brings it up to date. A walk through the national championship history of Alabama football is a pretty spectacular exhibit. But all of football is covered, and also other sports. There's basketball, there's women's sports, gymnastics, and
so it's really
so forth.
So really, it's the Hall of Fame for University of Alabama, basically what you have there. I visited one time about 20 years ago. Marshall said he's been in it too. I just the people were so nice to us over there when we visited too, and I remember seeing Coach Bryant's, I think it was his desk in his office, and things like that. That was like going in and seeing an old president's office, I went out to SMU one day and I saw George Bush's, museum out there. And it looked like, I said, well, this looks like Coach Bryant's office. So, that's the only two I've ever seen, up close like that. So anyway, well, listen, you got a great job. Let's talk about Alabama football right now. You got a big game coming up, and of course there's a big game across the about 3 hours from you to the east, Georgia and Texas. A lot's going to be decided this weekend for SEC teams, isn't it?
It could be. There could be a lot decided. Alabama, I think, is in pretty good shape with a win to make the playoff and to make then the SEC championship game. If Georgia beats Texas, I believe they're out. But if Texas beats Georgia, how many teams is the SEC going to get into the 12-team college football playoff? And it's, people are saying 4 for sure, probably 5 and maybe 6. I'm not trying to do that deep dive into if so-and-so beats so-and-so and try to figure all the possibilities there. But, it's a big weekend. You know, this may be Oklahoma playing to stay in the college football playoff. I think Alabama can afford one more loss. I think Georgia can afford one more loss. So just still a lot of football to be played. And, if teams making the SEC championship game, if the college football playoff committee sticks to its guns, both those teams will get in. They won't penalize the loser of a conference championship game. So that's they never should have. That was the wrong thing to do anyway. But so the SEC is obviously loaded with good teams. Now the Big Ten has two good teams. The Big 12, one or maybe they might slip two in there, but I kind of doubt it. The ACC is not going to get many in. It could be a one-bid league. So that opens it up for the SEC to fill a lot of spots in there.
Well, did you think the committee could be prejudiced about sending 6 teams from one conference? Or I know in basketball it's a little bit different because you're battling 68 teams now, 64 plus 4. But
right.
What's your thoughts on that? Because
I don't like the selection committee, and it's not just this one. I don't like the makeup that they've had since the beginning. And I talked to both Bill Hancock about it and also the new commissioner of the CFP, Rich. Can't remember. He said, "Call me Rich," and I can't remember his last name right now. About what the athletic directors need to be on that committee for. They ought to be too busy to be on that committee. They need to have former head football coaches, retired head football coaches who know football and would know what to look for and would come to the best conclusions. But so far, my plan has gotten nowhere, so I'll stick to what I'm doing and not give them any more advice.
Well, a lot of people, it's hard for them to give up power in this day and time, It's not about the money, It's about the power, But anyway, no, I just have always wondered about that. But I'm like you. I think the Big Ten, because of Penn State's great fall from the ranks this year, I think right now they have 2 deserving teams. I'm not sure if a Michigan could slip in there from way back. And, of course, who do you think the Power 4 team is? Is it going to be Tulane with 2 losses?
Well, how about James Madison?
Well, yeah.
They've got a pretty good resume.
Yeah, they sure do. We sure do. We're hoping down in this part of the country that James Madison and Southern Miss meet for the championship in the Sun Belt. And so, we keep it up with James Madison too. They're like around 20th or in the poll or something like that. James Madison, I think they've moved up. Quite
I quit looking at the poll once they start doing the college football playoff. I kind of lose interest in the polls because
I got you.
They're not going to matter.
Yes, I understand that, but it's always nice to be ranked in all of them very high, and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Well, tell us about. Of course, you played a wounded LSU team the other night, and of course, I'm not to speculate, but it didn't seem like the best Alabama offense that they've showed in the past few ball games.
No, they kind of had an off night. They were just sort of missing on a few things, and defense bailed them out with. Those red zone stands and a couple of really good turnovers for Alabama. So it was but it was what it really what it was sort of typical of a lot of Alabama LSU games. Defensive struggle for both teams. And the main thing for Alabama was to come out with a win because Alabama has really played a tough schedule, and I'm sure it's taken a toll on them. But they had the off week, came back, got the win, and So now they just soldier on.
Well, now we've got several connections to the Alabama team from this area. Daniel Hill looked, he got the touchdown the other night. How's Daniel doing this year? The running back from
Well,
Meridian.
I thought he did well last year. You know, he didn't get a lot of chances, but when they were either close to their own goal line or close to the other goal line, they put him in there because he is a powerful running back, and he moves the whole pile. And so he's kind of moved up to number 2 right now, I think. That's Jam Miller missed 3 games, I think, with injury, and Kevin Riley and Richard Young were sort of splitting time, and then Miller came back, and Riley really was number 2 then, and now Hill seems to be number 2. So he's a load, even though we have some big running backs. Daniel Hill's about 244 and low built, got that low center of gravity, and he can move people.
Yes, that's correct. Of course, now we've got Ty Simpson's grandparents live in our area, and his uncle. I talked very thing.
Right.
He's having a great year this year. You think he's got a chance to be go to New York City for the Heisman presentation?
Oh, I feel almost certain that he will be. That 21 touchdowns, 1 interception, Alabama quarterback right now, in the hunt. I think he's got a very good chance to be there, and he's got a far-fetched chance to win it all. Although I think right now that the Heisman Trophy, talking about committees, the Heisman Trophy has way too many voting, way too many, and they can't all be paying that much attention to what's really going on in college athletics. So right now, everybody seems to be enchanted with saying it to Ohio State, and obviously he's a good quarterback, or Alabama wouldn't have gotten him, and then lost him after Nick Saban retired to Ohio State.
Yeah. What about? There's a guy from Quitman, Mississippi. I don't think he's getting to play a whole lot, but you might have seen his progress. A.K. Deere.
Right. A.K. played a little bit. Didn't look pretty good in a couple of early games this year. He had a long touchdown run. Oh, I think maybe against Monroe, but it might have been Wisconsin. I don't remember. But he did have a long touchdown run. And the only thing I've heard, he hasn't been playing lately. He's a big running back too, not as big as Hill, but big, and obviously fast. But the only thing I'd heard from a coach, and this was just sort of a passing comment, was that, there's just a lot to learn from high school to college. And usually for running backs, all they've had to do in high school is run.
Yes.
But now they've got to learn to pass protect. They've got to learn to, they've got assignments whether they're carrying the ball or not. And it may be knowing a pass route, or knowing which guy to pick up on a blitz, or where to protect, all sorts of things. I'm blocking for somebody else, and so that would be my guess. That he's just like a lot of young running backs. Derrick Henry didn't come in as a star; he had to learn a lot of stuff. So his turn will come because they like him, but. My guess is just he's got things to learn yet.
Well, listen, I got one last question for you. It's a surprise question. But I got to ask it.
Oh, boy.
Is Lane Kiffin going to be coaching at Ole Miss next year?
I would, unless they fire him, I would say he would be. I don't think he's leaving. But I don't know Lane. I knew Lane a little bit when he was here. I was introducing him once, and he got up and during my introduction and challenge something I'd said. That's the first time that ever happened to me when I was introducing somebody. But we got along well, and he's been a great coach for Ole Miss. He was a great coach, assistant coach, and offensive coordinator at Alabama, and so I'm not surprised. And I think family's pretty important to him, and the way he's got things structured there in Oxford, I think that's a good place for him. But if I was in charge of the purse strings over in Oxford, I would make sure they were plenty loose with Florida coming to town. I wouldn't let any Florida people near him.
Yeah, I'd be like you. Listen, Kirk, this is Marshall. I told you when we started that sometime I'd show up and say we're out of time. Well, here I am, brother. Listen, we appreciate you so much taking time to be with us, and very interesting, and we're thankful for your time. We're going to ask you to hold on.
My pleasure, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We're going to ask you to hold on for just a minute. We're going to take a break here from one of our sponsors, and Dale and I'll be back tonight with tonight's final segment of the Brouhaha after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Well, Dale, you've done it again. You always get the best guests, man. You can go get them, son. Make it happen.
Well, it's just a matter of luck. I used to read a lot of those guys. When the internet started coming out and you could read columns from other newspapers, it was always great. And he always had a really good one. And I guess I just get lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Well, somebody once said, I'd rather be lucky than good. I don't know who said that. It might have been Lee Trevino.
I think it was probably a fisherman.
Are you familiar with the Flutie effect?
No.
I can't believe you don't know anything about the Flutie effect. It's been well documented, and it goes back to when Flutie threw that touchdown, and it translates into increased enrollment. Florida State's enrollment went up when they were winning all those championships, and I think Ole Miss's enrollment has gone up every year for the last 3 years. Now, this is documented. I read an article. I just thought of this and started talking about it, so I'm just kind of waffling around a little bit, but it got to talking about Alabama. I read this article probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it talked about what Alabama did and how much money they took out of the football program and put on the academic side, tens of millions of dollars. And so when you win, people come.
Well, listen, that campus, you ought to ride through that campus. I don't see a bad-looking building on the whole campus. Everything is brick. I mean, it's a beautiful campus now, Yeah. Now, it does join downtown and all that, but it's just a beautiful campus. But they called that the Nick Saban effect over there because their economic boom was out of sight.
I understand that. But it's the Flutie effect.
Well, the Flutie effect goes back to when Eli was at Ole Miss. I was talking to a realtor up there, and he was telling me that they had the Eli effect up there as far as real estate.
Yeah.
When he went there and signed with them, people started going back and buying the condos, and then all of a sudden, subdivisions were built and things like that. So, yeah, I think winning football helps a whole lot, and I know it does. But I also think that you have to be in areas like a Tuscaloosa. I mean, you drive 15 miles up the road from Tuscaloosa, and you got the biggest Mercedes plant probably in the world. Yeah. And of course, Nick Saban owns several Mercedes-Benz dealerships now. Yeah. And so I think the Flutie effect is in play in Mississippi.
It is. AI overview. The Flutie effect is defined as the boost in university applications and enrollment that occurs after a successful college sports season or a major upset. Isn't that crazy? But it's true. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to be with a winner. So all you schools out there want to increase your enrollment. Al Davis said, "Well, now, just win, baby."
I read that Southern State and Ole Miss all have increased their enrollment.
Well,
And they're probably going to get more since Southern's, 7-2? Maybe
That's right.
they're going to finish 10-2.
Come on with it. Come on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully State can win this weekend to get their 6th win.
You know, I've kind of gotten lost. That's a big deal. That'd be great. Get a bowl, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Man, all three. I mean,
yeah.
the big three.
But I just am so amazed at Southern's success. I really thought that they were going to be in for, well, they were in for a tough match last week. I didn't really expect them to win up at Arkansas State because Arkansas State the last couple of years has handled them really well.
Yeah.
But that open date, Coach Huff said on the TV this week, he said, I knew we were going to win at 11:15 on Wednesday. Did you hear that?
I didn't say it.
He said, I knew Wednesday at 11:15 that we were going to win Saturday. And somebody said, how'd you know that? He said the defense was out there working out on their own, going through defenses and things like that. And there was no coaches in sight. It was just the defense.
Man, gotta love it.
Player led.
Gotta love it, man.
Player led.
Culture, baby. Listen, Dale, we're out of time. We want to thank all our folks for listening in, and we want to thank our guests for being with us tonight, and remind you that you can keep up with the Brouhaha during the week on our Facebook page at the Brouhaha or our YouTube channel, where you can listen to all of the shows on demand. That's right, whenever you want to. And that's also called the Brouhaha. But for now, it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, folks, and we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Del McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook.